Cold nights shape daily life for centuries, and people solve the problem without stoves humming all night or modern insulation under their roofs. Before we begin, if you value grounded historical knowledge and practical survival lessons drawn straight from the past, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles. Now, let's get straight to it. The bed itself was engineered to trap heat, not provide comfort. Traditional winter sleep began with elevation. Beds were raised well off the floor to escape cold air pooling near the ground. The base was often row-placed wood, topped with a thick straw or chaff mattress. Straw was not chosen for softness, but for trapped air. Air, when immobilized, becomes insulation. Over this came woolen blankets, not cotton, stacked in layers rather than one heavy cover. Wool retained warmth even when damp and compressed, which mattered in unheated rooms. A modern application is simple. Elevate your bed, avoid foam that compresses flat, and use layered wool or wool blend blankets instead of a single thick duvet. The enclosed sleeping space functioned like a microclimate. Across medieval and early modern Europe, curtained beds or box beds were common, especially in colder regions. Heavy wool or linen curtains surrounded the sleeper on all sides, reducing airflow and capturing body heat. This was not privacy luxury, it was thermal engineering. Some box beds were built directly into walls, further cutting drafts. Today, the same principle can be applied with bed canopies, thick curtains, or even a tent-like setup over the bed in extreme conditions. The goal is reducing cubic air volume your body must heat. You know, clothing really replaced heating systems back in the day. Sleeping naked? Well, that was pretty rare in cold climates. Linen nightshirts, wool socks and knitted caps were just standard winter sleepwear. Folks actually understood that you lose a lot of heat through your head and neck long before modern physiology explained why. The body would warm the clothing, and the clothing would sort of stabilize that warmth. A practical modern parallel, honestly, is sleeping in dry base layers and a wool cap during power outages, or if you're living off-grid, instead of, trying to heat an entire room. Shared warmth now, that was a calculated survival tactic. Households would commonly sleep with multiple people in one bed, family members or even servants. It wasn't some cultural oddity, it was just plain old thermal logic. More bodies meant more heat in the same enclosed space. Sometimes even animals were kept nearby in rural homes to help stabilize indoor temperatures. While, modern norms are a bit different, the principle is still useful for emergency planning. Shared sleeping spaces or clustered bedding during winter outages can really, drastically reduce heat loss. The room itself was treated as a cold shell, not really as a living space. Folks didn't try to heat bedrooms overnight. Fires were allowed to die down, and the sleeping setup had to compensate. Thick wall hangings, rush-covered floors, and minimal ventilation were used to reduce heat escape. Beds were positioned away from exterior walls and windows too. Today, that translates to choosing interior rooms for sleeping during cold periods and sealing up drafts, rather than just, cranking up the thermostat. This system worked because it respected physics, materials and human limits. No fuel, no flames, no mechanical aid, just disciplined design. If this kind of practical historical knowledge matters to you, Well, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, share this with others who value real-world survival wisdom, and help keep these lessons alive.